Hello and welcome back.
Hello.
We thought we'd restart the channel with a news episode. So coming up, where have we been?
What have we been up to?
What's new from Trinnov?
What's happening with Dolby Atmos and Apple?
What is Gearfest 2023 and why should you go? All that and more coming right up. First off, last week Trinov announced their new Nova room calibration system. So to find out more, we've sent our roving reporter off to the NAMM show in Anaheim, California.
Hey guys, yeah, so you just want me to check out the Trinov Nova?
Yep, it's just the Trinov Nova, and find out who does the best churros, and don't worry about anything else because Produce Like a Pro will have covered that.
Alright, cool, I'm on it.
Next up is news of Sound on Sound magazine's Gearfest 2023.
Ooh.
This is kind of like a mini NAMM for the UK. We went last year, met a ton of manufacturers, tried a heap of new gear and met a lot of you guys as well, and it was a great day out. This year, Gearfest will take place over 2 days, Saturday and Sunday the 15th and 16th of July, and once again it will happen at Tileyard, a studio complex near King's Cross in London, and the perfect location for such an event. We'll be going on both days, and we'll definitely be going because we'll be exhibiting.
Ooh.
And that segues us nicely into what we've been doing for the past few months and why we've just had no time to put any content out.
Indeedy. Well, last year you might remember we put out a 3-part video series on how we developed our own monitor solution for Dolby Atmos, as we felt that really there was nothing on the market that offered the quality that we wanted at a sensible price. Now, as these things happen, this turned out to be the proverbial rabbit hole we dived down, and we ended up with a system that exceeded our expectations by such a huge margin that I donated the SEM200s that I'd been using for mastering for years to James's video editing room because I'd started working on our own speakers and the results spoke for themselves. Now, we ended that video series discussing the possibilities of maybe offering the monitor in kit form, and we researched this heavily, but the main reason people wanted a kit was to save money, and only a tiny percentage of those that we polled had any experience at all with cabinet making of any kind, and we quickly realised it would likely result in a lot of shoddily built speakers being out in the world, accompanied by a hugely expensive and time-consuming customer service burden. For us, building a speaker cabinet isn't easy, so we won't be releasing a kit anytime soon.
But many people visited the studio and were so impressed with our design that they wanted a pair, albeit in a more traditional studio monitor form factor. And so we set to work designing a studio monitor with a difference: the PresentDayProduction Mum 8, the modular upgradable monitor. And then you lot started buying them. And then we scrapped them all because we realised we could do it a lot better.
Indeed we could, and whilst there was nothing inherently wrong with the original design, it was just your run-of-the-mill MDF box and expensive and time-consuming to paint and finish, as well as being very environmentally unfriendly, not something we wanted to get out into the world. So I set about basically completely redesigning everything, and I couldn't have done this without our valued early adopters putting their trust and faith and money into us getting this right. So we want to extend a huge public thank you to those of you that made that possible, and your names are on the screen. Now, what we have now is a studio monitor we are really proud of, and that is truly upgradable over time as technology or your needs improve. With a base driver upgrade, you can even choose between a sealed enclosure or a ported design, depending on what genre you're working in and what works better for you in your room.
We already have a dozen or so pairs out in the world to rave reviews, and we will be publicly launching these monitors at Gearfest in July. So make sure to come along, have a demo and hear them for yourself. Those of you who are active on our Discord server will of course know the story so far, and we do have enough stock left from our first batch to hold that super low introductory price for another 4 pairs. And details of that will be on the Discord server and emailed out to our email subscribers in a few days' time, as well as a private video that will tell you pretty much everything you could ever need to know about the new design. So make sure you click the links below to sign up for our email list and or join our Discord community if you want those details.
I just swallowed a burp.
That's quite a skill.
Like stifling a yawn. Anyway, any news from Jamie?
He seems to be wandering around the NAMM show floor a little bit overwhelmed. He messaged me a minute ago saying he's just seen Bob Clearmountain.
Wow, Bob Clearmountain at NAMM. That's a bit like going to the Conservative conference and going, oh no, there's Michael Gove. Anyway, I guess we'll come back to him a little bit later. Next up, Dolby Atmos news. There's been a lot of speculation online recently that despite no official announcement from Apple, it's now impossible to be featured on a curated playlist on Apple Music unless you upload your music in Dolby Atmos. And even further speculation that further down the line you might not even be able to upload your music at all unless it's in Dolby Atmos. Now, I can't get an official answer from my insider at Apple, but it does indeed seem that a plain Jane stereo mix is no longer going to get you featured on an Apple recommended playlist. As for only being able to upload in Atmos, well, if that does happen, I think it'll be quite a way down the road, and I certainly don't think anyone has to panic just yet. But things are certainly changing, and it does indeed look like Dolby Atmos isn't going away anytime soon, and certainly is not the fad that many thought it would be.
Indeed. But where's our Atmos system gone?
Well, there's still an issue with Dolby Atmos, and that issue is that most labels and clients that want an Atmos mix only have a stereo budget. And whilst I have seen an increasingly large handful of labels start ditching vinyl releases in favour of Dolby Atmos, they're still few and far between, and most of the mixes I received to master in Atmos were compiled by work experienced Johnny in the label's office, who'd mixed the record on Apple AirPods using the renderer built into Logic. And that's great, but when I get the ADM file, everything comes through the centre speaker, or the stereo mix has just been duplicated into various objects all around the room, and I then have to go through the tedious process of getting the stems, which goes on for weeks because the original mix engineer used his favourite analog outboard and didn't print it, and 3 months and no income later we eventually get there, and it sounds absolutely incredible on speakers, and the band listen on headphones because they're not here and go, oh, it's not as loud as the stereo mix. So at the moment it still isn't a viable business proposition for us, and certainly one that's not currently worth the extra investment we would need to make to get the height channels up and running. But things are evolving, and pretty quickly too, and most engineers I've spoken to who are currently working in Atmos are now telling me that they are favouring deriving the stereo mix from the fold down of the Atmos mix rather than the other way round, and it's sounding all the better for it. So I think that Dolby Atmos is definitely something that anyone who's seriously into music production needs to keep a firm eye on and maybe start planning for it sometime in the future. And it is a format that we're still totally in love with, and I do think it will be the future of music, and certainly hope that's how things pan out. How things pan out. See what I did there. How's Jamie getting on?
I'm not too sure, but I did actually manage to find all the info I needed on the new Nova on Trinov's website. Trinnov has just announced its newest product, Nova. Building on the incredible past generation of products, the Nova is designed to replace the ST2 Pro, a unit we reviewed on the channel just last year, but coming in at a lower price point. The Nova is also the first professional Trinnov product that isn't PC based. The 1U rack unit is its own dedicated hardware running an ARM processor with a simplified calibration process that still offers all the advantages over other room correction systems. The Nova provides 6 analog inputs on 2 balanced XLR and 4 1/4-inch balanced jack connectors, and 6 outputs, all on balanced XLR connectors. And by default, the included optimizer license allows for 2 channels of processing, but this can be upgraded to unlock all the channels if needed. The unit also features a stereo AES digital output on XLR and ADAT and SpeedIF on digital inputs. But the biggest change is that the Nova comes with Dante as standard, so it can be connected using Dante virtual sound card straight into your DAW. No audio interface required.
Hooray!
Trinnov have also made changes to their 3D microphone. Whilst the basic body and capsule format is the same, whilst the basic body and capsule format is the same, the unit now plugs into the front of the Nova using a standard Ethercon connector, and it's powered by phantom power, so no need for the 9-volt battery required in the previous incarnation.
Hooray!
The dedicated RJ45 connection also means that you don't have to unpatch any analog inputs to plug the mic in and recalibrate the system, and this connector is easily accessible on the front panel.
Double hooray.
A headphone socket has also made its way to the front panel of the Nova, which
Hooray.
is a very welcome addition.
Hooray.
Indeed. Alongside a mute indicator LED and a status LED.
You're right.
Hooray. The Nova is also fully compatible with La Remote, so if the bulk of your work is mixing or mastering, you don't need another audio interface. That's a hooray moment.
That's definitely hooray.
You can also control the unit using the new Trinnov iOS app, which we're currently loving with our MC Pro, and the calibration process and menu system has had a redesign to make it much easier to navigate.
Does that mean I can navigate it?
Possibly.
Brilliant.
We'll have to put that to the test.
We will.
We are super excited to try out the new Trinov Nova, and we're heading down to Emerging, the UK distributor, in just a couple of weeks' time to get details on pricing and availability. So watch this space for further news on that.
Yep. So, sorry, Jamie, we don't need you anymore. Where is he, by the way?
I think I've lost him.
Oh, okay. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to click those links below if you want more information on the Mum8, and a huge thank you once again to everyone who has supported us on this journey so far. We absolutely could not have done it without you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ding the ding dong, and you'll see us in the next video. And if you're wondering how Flop is, he's fast asleep just here.
Floptastic. I don't know why I'm leaning back. I'm not in the way.